All right, we've got socket sets, torque wrench. These are some different types of oil filter wrenches. We have a funnel, catch pan, new oil, new filter. These are the ramps we're going to use, and our creeper there and behind, which we're going to use to crawl under the car. So I'm going to show you guys how to put it up on the ramps right now. So we're going to position the ramps to sit right in front of the wheels so that we just drive up. That is going to sit. We want to kind of make them evenly spaced. Or better, should we just put them under the wheel? Then we know that they're going to be evenly apart distance. And I'm just going to get in, start the car, and drive it right up the ramp. So now we're inside the engine compartment. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to identify this yellow little handle is the dipstick. That's what we're going to use to measure the oil level. And this one here has a little, if you guys can see that, a little oil level, oil can symbol on it. So we want to open that up first, just so we don't have any vacuum problems. The oil will flow nice and smoothly. And so we're just going to open that up and set the cap aside. Okay, so now we're underneath the car. We've got our catch pan with the lid off. So that's just going to screw off of there, and you can see that it actually has this catch pan has like a grate, so that'll catch. I usually just let the nut fall or the bolt fall into that. It'll get covered in oil, but then I'll just wash it off. Want to make sure you have some paper towels on hand just to be able to clean everything off. So I'm going to try and predict where that's going to go. So I don't know if we can see that the drain bolt is actually pointing a bit this way to the left there. So I'm going to position the catch pan to the left and try and estimate. I can always reposition it really quickly. That's why I've got a piece of plywood down below it to try and catch if I spill anything. But I'm going to try and get it to go right into that right away. So it should kind of come out at a bit of an angle. It will be under a bit of pressure. So hopefully that'll go nice and smoothly. Make sure I put my gloves on here. This is the part where it's going to get a little bit messy. And I've got some nice paper towel on hand just in case. It's 14 mils. Okay. So a 14 millimeter socket for that one. And I am just going to use my wrench and I'm just going to crack it open. Now, there we go. So now that is loose. I can probably, maybe one more turn, I can probably almost turn this by hand. Now what I want to do is I want to position this so that the nut will fall right into the basket. But then I can use my other hand to position the catch pan, and you'll see the oil will come out fairly quickly. So I just want to, I'm not putting any pressure. I'm just going to let the nut fall. And I want to try and catch that oil as it's falling as quickly as possible. So it's going to start coming out soon. There we go. Oops, so I missed a little bit. So I'm just going to get my paper towel and just clean that up as it's draining into the pan as quickly as possible here. Oops. There we go. So the bolt actually missed. So I just want to make sure that gets nice and clean. And then I want to adjust it as it's coming out. Make sure that it's not spilling anywhere. This is the one downside of this job, is that you do get some oil in places, but that's okay. And you can see the wind is starting to affect where the oil is going now. It's actually going back towards the other side of the car. So definitely easier if you're inside doing this, but. All right, so while the oil is draining out of the main pan, we're gonna get to the oil filter, so we'll do that now. So this cover here, this is the sort of the access panel. I don't know if you guys can see the filter right there. That's that black round thing. That's the end of the filter. You can see that's there you go. That's a better look at it. That's the oil filter there. So we want to remove that. Unfortunately, I can't fit my hand through there, so we have to go through this little access panel. So we have to take off these two bolts, which I believe are maybe. They are 10. Pull those, whoops. I might have bumped you a bit there. Yeah, we're fine still. All right, so I'm just gonna pop those guys off here. These ones are fairly easy to come off. There we go. What I like to do is I like to put the nuts back, or the bolts back, just so I don't lose them. Now, this is sort of the tricky part, because this is gonna drain oil. So what I wanna do is I wanna see if I can take it off with my hand, and I don't think I'll be able to. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna use this oil filter here, or oil filter wrench here. So this attaches to a regular ratchet, and then what it does is as you turn it, so this stretches out to expand to the size of the filter, and as you turn it, it clamps down. So this should fit a wide variety of size of sockets. I do have this other one which is custom made for the socket, but I like using it. It works pretty well, but this one works well too. So I'm gonna throw that up into there, and we're gonna see if we can get that socket. So it's hard to see, but there's a little ramp below the filter that's supposed to direct the oil down through this little access hole as it drains out of there. But I'm gonna try and just wipe up this catch pan here as much as I can. It's quite dirty. All right, so I'm gonna position this guy, and I'll position the plywood under there as well. It will drip out. So I'm gonna position this. Let's see here. Show you guys. So I'm gonna position this guy underneath that little access hatch. And I don't know if you can see, but there's a little ramp here. So this guy right here, that's a ramp underneath the filter that's going to catch the oil and hopefully send it through this thing. It doesn't always work as well in practice, but that's the theory anyway. This is the part of the job that I like the least, just because it's the most awkward. I'm trying to put that around the filter there. Make sure we're loosening here. Yeah, we are. Probably blocking your view here, but there we go. It's loosening a little bit. But again, the idea with these filters is that they're not actually on all that tight. They're supposed to just be on hand tight. So you just have to kind of get it started. There, you can see it turning now with this wrench. It's very, very awkward. Hard to get any leverage on it, and you're kind of at an uncomfortable angle, but that should be good. I should be able to undo it the rest by hand. And again, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put my hand up there, and I'm gonna try and loosen it, and I'm gonna be positioning the catch pan to catch any oil that might come out of there with my other hand. Again, this is definitely the most awkward part of it, and there is some oil dripping out. Where is it going? I don't know where it's going yet. So it's dripping out the back of it now. I think because I'm at too much of an angle. But it is catching most of the oil. There isn't a ton of oil that comes out of here, but definitely enough that you want to try and wipe it up when you're done, because it will drip onto the road and then eventually end up into the water system, which is no good. So I'm just going to let that kind of empty out a little bit, and then I'm going to try to loosen it as much as I can. And I want to get this filter vertical as quickly as possible, because there will be quite a bit in the bottom of the filter. I do not want to dump it over while it's up here, just because that'll cause a huge mess. Yeah, I think being up on the ramps probably is not helping this situation, and that everything is kind of going backwards. So it's not the best. So I've got it probably almost off now. There we go. Luckily I've got that plywood there. Again, the oil is warm, but it's not hot. Which is what you want. There we go. Okay, that was a mess. But, you know, it did make a mess. But I do have the plywood down, and I had gloves on, and I've got the catch pan for the most part. But that was probably worst case scenario. That was one of the worst ones I've ever had in terms of dripping. And I've got it pretty much contained to the piece of plywood, which is awesome. That's why we wear our PPE, we wear our gloves, we wear our coveralls that I don't mind getting oil on, because it is a bit of a messy job. But you can, if I show you guys, there isn't very much on the floor here, on the ground. It's mostly in the catch pan, on the paper towel, and on the plywood, so it's good. All right, so I'm just gonna try and clean this up as best I can here. Trying to get in underneath here, just to try and clean up as much of that oil, prevent as much of it from dripping down onto the road as I can. I'll be replacing it with the same filter. So this is the Mobil 1 M1110. This is the one that you just look it up and it shows up as the one for your truck or your vehicle. So it has to be the correct one, even though they look like they fit. They're all designed to move a specific amount of oil. Now, the next thing you want to do, so this is the oil that I'm going to be replacing with. It just happens to match with the filter, so it's the Mobil 1 Extended Performance, just like the filter. 5W30, which is what they recommend for my vehicle. Says that right in the manual. Now, these just happen to match. It doesn't really matter if they do or not. I've used Mobil 1. I tend to like Mobil 1. That being said, I don't think it really matters. I think all the oil is probably pretty good, but just what I happen to use. Oh, and just, this is important, it is synthetic oil. So this is 100% synthetic oil. It's twice as expensive, but you get twice the distance out of it. So what you want to do is you want to, this rubber ring here, this is actually like a very hard rubber. What you want to do is you want to take some new oil, not the old oil. You want to put a little bit of new oil on your finger, and I'm just going to put that onto that rubber ring to kind of lubricate it, so that when I screw it down, I can put a little bit more clamping pressure on it. It's not going to stick as much. So I'll throw that up there now. Just do the reverse of what the other one did. But again, I'm not using the wrench to tighten it. It actually won't allow me to tighten it with the wrench. See if I can. So you guys can see this here. Yeah, that should be good. So I'm just going to take the filter. It has a bit of oil around the rim. Feed it up there. And I'm just going to attach it just with my hands. Just try to get it started. There are a lot of threads on it, so it does take quite a while to get it to go on there. Now, my hands are quite slippery right now, so I probably won't be able to get a good hand tight. Some paper towel. Let's see, I don't know. There we go. That's probably pretty good. All right, so now we're gonna replace the oil drain bolt. And so we have to replace it based on what the manufacturer says we should do. We have to make sure it's not going to be too tight, not going to be too loose. So this is a torque wrench. So it has a regular ratcheting head, but it's a 1/2 inch drive, so I have to use the larger sockets. I can't use the other one I was using. So if you look here, there's some numbers, and there's this little gauge. So you loosen this back nut off, and then there we go. So that's 20 foot-pounds, and I'm just going to turn it. So it's going to be 21, 22, 23, 24, 25 foot-pounds. And I'm going to tighten the little end nut back up. And I'm gonna put that on there. There's the oil drain bolt. I'm gonna put this on here. Now it is fairly loose right now, so it will require a little bit of tightening. So I'm just gonna tighten it. You can hear it ratcheting, but you'll hear once you get a little bit of resistance, you'll hear the sound. It's like a click, and then you know to stop turning because it's hit that pressure threshold. So I'm just gonna push, 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 and no, it needs a little bit more. There, you hear that click? So that click tells me that I should be no longer tightening. That is now at 25 foot-pounds, which is what is from the factory. That's what they recommend. So yeah, just a little bit of extra insurance that you're not going to do any damage. So now we've got the oil filters in, the drain plug is in, and so now all that's left to do is to put new oil in it. All right, so here we are back under the engine, in the engine compartment. So there we go. This here is our oil drain, or sorry, oil fill part here. So that's where we're going to be filling the oil from. Let's get that center screen. There we go, perfect. So if we look here on the jug, now this isn't exactly scientific, but you can see this line here. It's actually a see-through line. You can see the oil. I don't know if you can see the oil kind of moving around near the top there. So there's little lines that show the different liters. Now I know that my vehicle takes 4.4 liters of oil is a full capacity. So if we count up, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, and it looks like we've probably got another half liter in there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to fill it up to about 3. So I'm going to drain it down to this bottom line here, and then we're going to let it sit for a little bit, and then we're going to check it. And then we're going to slowly increase the amount of oil, and until the dipstick reads what we need it to read. So I'm going to put that under there to hold that in place. Okay, now we've got the oil that we already pre-opened because we had to put it onto the oil filter, just so that it all goes into the funnel. There we go. So there it goes. So I'm gonna pour a majority of the oil in there, and I'll try to leave about a liter left, and then I'll let it go in there, and then I'll slowly check it. So let's see, what are we at here? Now we still got a little ways to go. So you can see that the oil level is about right here right now. So we've got to go down to about here. You can see the difference in the oil. This is like a very amber color, whereas the oil that comes out of it is very black. The reason it's black is because it gets burnt. It actually, as it heats and cools, it actually changes its molecular structure to where it turns black. And also you get all kinds of impurities and dirt in there from the engine. So it's just a combination. That's why we change oil. The oil actually becomes unstable. It doesn't do as good a job cooling anymore, and it also becomes full of dirt. So we're almost there, just a little bit more. And we'll check that, see where we're at. So yeah, we've put in about maybe just over 3 liters or so. So this oil can has 4.73 liters. I need 4.4 liters, so it's a little bit too much to put in the container there. So we don't want to put the whole thing in. It's almost there, but not quite. So I'm just gonna let that settle a little bit inside the crankcase. Then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna pull the dipstick out here, and I'm gonna give it a wipe. You always give it a wipe first because it will. You want to make sure you're kind of resetting the old amount that was there. So if you look at the dipstick, we have low here and high, so there's an H and an L, so we want to be somewhere in the middle here, probably closer to the H if we can. So what we'll do is we'll put this back in here. That goes back in there. Put that all the way in, make sure it's all the way seated, and then we're going to pull it out again. So you can see that our oil level is a little bit closer to the L, so we're a little bit low still. So I'll put in a little bit more. So more there. Just let that settle a little bit. Make sure that dipstick is nice and cleaned off. That back in there, and pull it out there. So there we go. That's pretty good. So we've got the oil level up here. It's pretty close to the H level. That's about perfect. That's exactly where we want to be. So I will clean that off, put the dipstick back in. There we go. Pull the funnel out of there. Put that back on. Got a little bit of oil left for just to kind of top up as I get a little bit closer to that 25,000 before I replace it again. And last thing I want to do, actually, you know what I'll do is, I will, I'm going to leave the camera running here, because what I want to do is I want to check to see if there's any leaks. So I'm going to leave the cover off right now, just in case, because I want to do a quick inspection of it. So I'm going to let the engine run for about 10 minutes or so. So we'll let that run for another 5 or 6 minutes, and we should be good to go. So the last thing we got to do is we got to replace our little cover plate. Okay, so now the last bit of the job is obviously clean up.
Time to clean up, everyone. Let's pick up our things. Clean up, everybody clean up, clean up. Everybody clean up, clean up. Everybody clean up, time to clean up. Pick up, everybody pick up, pick up. Everybody pick up, pick up. Everybody pick up, time to pick up. Pick up the toys, put them away. Pick up the blocks, put them away. Pick up the books, put them away. Put your things away. Pick up the toys, put them away. Pick up the blocks, put them away. Pick up the books, put them away. Put your things away. up the toys, put them away, pick up the blocks